Hey everyone, Ekman here with another video, and we are at the release of OP07 here in North America, and I'm really excited about it. This is probably my most anticipated set in a long time. There's just a lot of different decks that I think are viable in this meta in general, and I've been having a lot of fun testing it on my live streams here on YouTube as well as on Twitch as well. So we're going to jump on into this video. We do have some deck lists to kind of go over, but if you guys want any of the deck lists from the video today, they're all going to be on my website. We're not going to go through all the decks that are on this page, but I did make a page on my website for kind of like staff decks from the OP07 format. So right now it's got builds from me and Russell. We'll continue to update with new builds and different leaders throughout the next couple weeks too. So make sure to check it out as well. And then also a couple things before we get started. Since it is the release of OP07, if you guys are buying any cards off TCG Player, please consider using my link. It does help this show a lot and I will appreciate it. Also, I'm trying something new today as well, which is going to be a whatnot stream with a box of OP07 and some singles. So this is going to start at 2 p.m. PST if you guys want to check that out. Link in the description. And also, if you're new to whatnot and you use my link in the description to make a new account, you'll get $15 that you can use towards this show or others. So make sure to check it out if you're interested, and I'll see you guys later today with that as well. But again, we are going to go over a couple of these leaders. And again, this will just add more and more leaders as we go through, so make sure to bookmark the page if you want to. I'll be continuing to update it with different builds that I like, and especially like the more videos I make for this format, I expect to make more and more leaders onto this page. So most of these we've also kind of gone over, so nothing too crazy. If you want to see Bonnie, Boa, Rob Lucci, I've made some different videos for it as well. I think Trafalgar Law is pretty understood from a lot of ways. I do have like an example build for these, and none of these I would say are like specifically like fine-tuned 100% for the format, but I think for a kind of an avenue of you want to know what a basic build for a lot of these look like, I have you covered for that as well. But we're going to go over a couple of maybe more of the unique builds and ones that I like, maybe not 100% the meta contenders, but they're ones that I've been having a lot of fun, and Russell has as well, but they do have that edge of competitiveness, which is nice too. So we're going to start off with the first list we're going to look at, which is Rob Lucci, and this is like a bit of a twist. I did make a video going over Rob Lucci in general, if you guys haven't checked it out, but this is the build that I am running with the kind of mini Thriller Bark package, with the idea of having Gecko Moria as like one of the key points for this deck. And honestly, I think that's pretty accurate for how this deck works, is that Gecko Moria, if you're able to loop it, if you're able to establish a couple of them on board, you win against a lot of decks. They really can't get rid of an 8-drop 9k consistently every turn, and because of that too, there are some ways for you to get some value off of Hogback. So the idea is that you can use this Hogback to find another 8-drop Gecko Moria, and the fact that we do use our leader effect a lot, you want to use this effect every turn if you're able to. Putting more cards into your trash means you get more access to options later on. So something I like to do if I can do it too is that on 8, if there's not like a big threat I have to remove, I can play Gecko Moria. I bring Hogback back from the trash, and if I have another Gecko in there, I have another one to set up for next turn, which gets a lot of value pretty quickly. So we're also running like the Rebecca package. Brooke is really nice, and the Spandine is just a silly good card that I don't know if it's supposed to have synergies directly with Rebecca, but it sure does. Being able to play this, being able to play like a reduction like with Helmeppo or with Suru, and then using the effect to get Rob Lucci off the Spandine. So Rebecca grants Spandine into Rob Lucci. You just get like a 4/6, you get a blocker, you get rid of some cards. It's very, very strong. Off of also, you can play it off Moria too. So you get to play like almost 20 cost worth of cards off of an 8 cost 9k, which is pretty silly. So I think this deck's going to be pretty good. I think there's going to be a lot of different builds. This is the one I've been rocking right now, and it's been feeling pretty good too, especially into more of the control decks as well. So there it is there. Next up, we've got Enel, and this is probably one of my favorite decks right now. And we're going to go kind of, I didn't mention this earlier, but we're doing 3 decks that I think I've been like leaders that I think I'm committing to for OP07, and then 3 kind of more interesting builds for these. But Enel, I think, is just in a great spot. There's just a good amount of synergies with it, the biggest one being the 10 cost Porteous D Ace, just being able to use this to heal, but also being able to be a 10k with Rush a lot of the time too. Even if you don't heal, if you have 2 or less life, you're able to get that Rush, which is really nice. And then also we do have like some more removal in the Monkey D. Luffy. I think we'd rather have reject around than Monkey D. Luffy, but we still like this card for what it is. Kind of like a backup copy of Gidatsu if you're playing kind of like the long game and you just try to get into that long one. We also do have Frankie here being able to use this as like a better Satori 2K in a lot of situations, which is good. And then we have these vanillas, and so I saw these popping up in the Japanese list, and I'm like, oh man. I don't know, like, why is this really worth being played? Like a 6-drop 8K, being able to, is it strong enough? And generally, yeah, being able to like turn 3, sometimes you don't really have a fantastic play, so being able to drop this, some decks have a really hard time getting rid of it. This can pressure a lot of different cards as well, and the fact that we can't, like, most of our late game is we play a big body and we don't really have time to put Dawn on anything, means that this Parasparrow is in a good spot. So I've seen some decks also play the 7/9, the Compote, and I honestly kind of want to find some room for that card too. It helps in the mirror match a lot, and it's just a very strong card. So I do think that these vanillas are good for what they are, and this is kind of the general yellow stuff. So there's some other cards in different packages. I won't say this is like the definitive list for now, but this is the one I've been playing, and it's been getting a lot of success with it as well. I do think that Enel will get worse as the meta goes on, though, and I've kind of been seeing some cracks into it where people kind of have to be reminded or retrained how to play against this deck, since it wasn't super good in OP06 in comparison to where it is right now. I do think it's great for where it is, but if your opponent kind of identifies leaving you at 2 life means you don't get any card draw, quote unquote card draw or healing from Yamato or Ace, which is very good. And you can kind of stall them out. And then once you get like a wide board, you can kind of go in and kind of force that pressure too. So anyways, this is a build here. Here's an L. You're going to see a lot of them, I think, in this meta. And definitely be prepared for the pressure he puts out. So, and then lastly, we have Black Yellow Luffy. And I will probably make a new video going over this leader in general, kind of a more guide video, because he is very complex for what he is. And this build's really unique. I think this is the one that I kind of put together with the idea of 2 things that I noticed with Luffy in general. So you don't really have a good way to fill up your trash traditionally, and you do benefit from having a lot of cards in your trash, specifically because you want to be able to have either your 5 costs in there, or if you have a Gecko Mori in hand, you want to be able to have your 2 cost Luffy and Sabos to be able to put the pressure on and get your kind of make the most benefit from your leader effect kind of thing. So I kind of then was like, oh man, wait, Garp is a Navy card, so that's kind of interesting. We can use Brand New to use that to find not only Garp, but we added additionally a couple more cards. I put 4 copies of Kuzan into this deck just because I've decided that the way that you play and build this deck, at least for me, is you want to go more value based. I see a lot of people who just like super duper awaken, or I always say awaken because it's a Dragon Ball Super term, but always go down to 0 life and then use their leader effect. So like you get like a really good like 2 turns of it, and then you kind of run out of steam from it, because you have to use like a lot of cards because you have to defend your life, and there's just kind of some weird scenarios with it. So with this one, you just kind of go more like just value based. You just try to draw a lot of cards. You do have to be careful about blue. But blue, I think, is just like the worst matchup for this deck anyways. But we also have like Borsalino. So these are just Navy cards as well. We have 2 copies of Suru 2K and 2 copies of T-Bone, which sometimes I just found like T-Bone came up where I need to like using this to remove a card means I can go for game if it's a blocker. So I can use something like Ice Age T-Bone to get rid of something, or attack with Kuzan and then play T-Bone to get rid of something. I think that's very strong. So we definitely take advantage of this Luffy. This is probably one of the best cards in this deck all of a sudden because it's just removal and it fits the thing. I also was playing like the 5 cost new Luffy, like the Nightmare Luffy, the black one from this set. It was okay. It was a nice little tech add if you want. I'm not playing in this build, but you can test it out if you want to. And then just kind of the normal targets from there. So this was a pretty different build. You played a little bit differently, but I think it's honestly like favored in the mirror match because we just get more value from the cards we're able to play, and we're able to just kind of grind out the game too. So this is the deck for this one. There's a more standard build if you guys want for this one too on the page if you want it. But I did like this one. And also, you guys are probably saying I didn't miss Ace. Ace I think definitely in the mirror match it kind of stinks, but having a 5/7 rush card doesn't really like it sounds good, but like when you have a 9k leader, they're just going to attack into and get rid of it anyways. So most of the time, the advantage that we'd want from Ace would be used to try to pressure down an opponent's like character card, which we can use the 5/6 Luffy anyways and get some card advantage for it. So I think that's just better in most scenarios. And being able to kind of find more room in our deck to play some more Navy cards to be able to have brand new hit more consistently also worked out too. So anyways, this is the build here for the Black Yellow Luffy. And again, I've been having a lot of fun playing with this one. All right, and then going into 3 of the, I would say, more off meta leaders, but they are pretty good. Most of these are lists from Russell, but I'll go over all of them as well. So we do have the Zoro and Sanji. So this is the Starter Deck 12 leader. It didn't really come out. I think this deck was known for having a couple copies of the 3/4 Mihawk 2K and not much else, right? Multicolor leaders have to be pretty good to be able to justify that you are at 4 or less life. But this one, it reads pretty strong at times when you have Dawn ×1 when attacking once per turn. You may turn one of your characters with a cost of 2 or more to its owner's hand. Select one of your characters with 7k power less than set it as active for it. So what you can do is that you can attack with something kind of twice, which you can get some advantage for some abilities. For example, like you can use this Mihawk. You can do draw 2, trash 2 twice, which is nice. But what this build looks like is kind of like a 7 Warlords version of it. We do see like Don Quixote do Flamingo and Boa being able to take advantage of these packages, but I think these decks can, or this build can as well. So we do have like a universal searcher for the archetype, which really kind of helps solidify it as like a splashable engine for a lot of decks, being able to look top 5 for 7 Warlords kind of thing. And then we do also have like the 3/4 Dofi. So this essentially is like the leader effect on a card. So activate main once per turn for 2. Reveal 1 card from the top of your deck. If the card is a 7 Warlords of the C type, you can play that card rested, and then you can place the rest at the bottom of your deck. So being able to do that's kind of nice for us too. So, but it's also just like a Dofi card for like being able to play off Shinbei too. We also have like the Kuma, so look at the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal 1 7 Warlords of the Sea, add to your hand, and then place the rest at the top or bottom of your deck in any order. So this one's pretty good at drawing cards as well, since we do have a lot of 7 Warlords, and it really just kind of takes advantage of the fact that we can play green and blue Warlord packages. So for example, you can do something like we can play Jinbei, play up to 4 or less from your hand, so you can play Mihawk, and then Mihawk can play a slash type attribute card. So that can be like another law, that can be like the Mihawk here, or it can also be the Weevil. So being able to play all these out and then have another body on board to be able to use our when attacking effect, I think is really great. Because especially like if we're at 5 Dawn, we can do something like Jinbei into Mihawk. Mihawk plays the slash card rested, so Weevil. Then we can attack with Zoro and Sanji, and then we can set the Weevil to active as well and put the Mihawk 2k back into our hand. So there's just like some silly things we can do with that. I think you can already just do like the Jinbei and into Weevil, which would have already put them both in active, but I think there's just some things you can do to help get more bodies and just like get the pressure from attacking and put stuff back. So other than that, we do have like you can be my samurais to get some more card draw. Again, like if we're able to reset some of our cards into active mode, it's not too bad. And you can use the combo that I mentioned with Mihawk. You can do it pretty easy. If you have 6 Dawn, be able to play 2, reset the Weevil, and then you can be my samurai, or you can just 4/4 and then do this draw too. And then we also have the 10-drop Dofi, because it is a 7 Warlords of the Sea, and so it is searchable off of all our cards, and we can take advantage of that extra stuff too. So it's a really fun build. I haven't played a lot of it, but I do think it's interesting. And I know a lot of people are talking to Zoro Sanji, and here's the current build. We'll see if it changes how good it can be in this meta as well. And then next up we have Nami, and Nami kind of has this expectation for it where it's never the worst deck in the format. It tops every once in a while, and you're able to just get some good advantage from what you're able to do with this deck. It usually runs like the Impel Down package for it, and I've seen 2 kind of different builds kind of pop up. The bigger one, like I did see like a 7 Warlords build from it, just because like Love Beam is a 7 Warlords of a C type card, which is really great, and Desert Spada. So both those being events that we are already running in these decks that also just have the synergy from that, I think is good. So I do have a different build you can check on the website, but This one's running more of like the Kuja pirates and Amazon build of it too. So it's a new kind of archetype from this set that's supposed to go with Boa, being able to use these to and we do have the searcher here with the Gloriosa, being able to use that to find our cards in bottom deck respectively. So we have this blocker here, which is really good, like just a 3-cost blocker that also draws us a card. It kind of has the idea that we're able to cycle through our deck, but also prevent an attack or make your opponent have to answer this, which is really nice. And again, it is searchable. And then we also and just like a 2K. This is just as a 2K, which is why we run it. But again, like Love Beam is a Kuja pirate, so it is searchable off that, which is nice. We also have Snake Dance, which is the essentially same as Overheat. So give up to one of your leaders or characters plus 4K power during this battle, then return up to one character with to its owner's hand. So it has to be yours, but being able to bounce back a Kaya to your hand with this and get out of an attack and be able to play it again next turn is usually worth it. And then the rest is kind of the same from there. I will say the Femur, we don't use this for its main effect. We only use this for its trigger effect off of life. It's like a worse copy of like Impel Down, but it is searchable off of like the Gloriosa. So we play it just for like another target for that also has like an okay trigger. So that's the reason for that one. So also for the Snake Dance, you can return one of your characters to owner's hand, return one of your opponent's 5 or lower to their owner's hand. So this actually comes up pretty good, like being able to use this to do like a 2-for-1 to get your Kaya back into your hand and bounce one of their attacks back is pretty nice there too. So I don't have much more to say. I think this is a different build. I think Nami, I put like Nami and Newgate like kind of on the same level where they're just kind of like eternal decks that seem to be in this game forever. But I think Nami is going to be a little bit more powerful than it usually is with a combination of like the new deck, like the new builds are kind of neat. And I think they get a little bit better than what they were. And I think there's a lot of decks outside of like Trafalgar Law that are going for like the late game value, and Nami can just take advantage of it by just going for game a lot of the time. So I think that's good, and this is the build here for Nami. And to wrap it up, we do have a Yamato deck, which I'm a big fan of Yamato in this game. We're actually probably doing a live stream today as this video dropping, so you guys can check that out. But Yamato is like a yellow Wano deck, but it never really used a lot of the package for it. The only card it really used was like the Neko and the Kikunojo. This card being able to just be really obnoxious and be able to, like, its on KO is great. It's very easy to put our opponent down to 3 or less life. And if we're playing against something that doesn't have like if we're playing against not blue, where they can't bottom deck your stuff and they have to kind of either just take a 6K attack to the face every turn or give us an extra life, I think that's helpful. But we did get like a lot of like Wano support in this set in general, or like in the last little bit. Otama is such a great card, being able to 2K that finds other Wano stuff. It's only green stuff, which is a little unfortunate, but I get it. I get why they did that, but I think it's great for being able to find some pieces, especially like the Hiyori. So this being able to just be you get to play any land of Wano with cost of 5 or less be outside of Hiyori. So that's really good for finding copy, like being able to like cycle. So you can play a Neko or Kikunojo by cycling this one, but also we can play like a Momo, which is able to put like an earlier Otama we played into life. We can even do some silly things where we can play Otama, find something, we can play Hiyori, and then we can play like You Can Be My Samurai, rest both of them, and then since this can draw 2 cards, and then we can play Momo off of the Hiyori effect, so it comes out active, and then we use Momo to put Otama back into our life. So we were able to cycle a lot of cards. We're able to put a card into our life that's a 2K that we can use later. So something like that I think is a good play for the deck. So I actually might bump more You Can Be My Samurais in there, but we'll see. Also just being able to play a 5/7 off the card is good too. And then lastly, we just have like Cody Jones as our end game. This is I think Cody's going to get a lot of value in this meta. I think he's strong, and he's not like super easy to remove if you play him on curve. And then same kind of thing, 9-drop Zoro I think is in a really good spot. This beats a lot of like late game control decks, I feel, and if they can't remove this immediately, you get like you win the game, I feel like. So you can kind of afford to play a couple of these guys too. So not anything like I'd say like super new for what the deck's trying to do, but I do like what the deck is doing and what it looks like, and I think there's some really good stuff for what this deck is doing in this meta potentially too. And I just like the Wano package. I like any excuse to play it in any build, I think is neat too. So anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I know a little bit rambly, a little bit of just showing off some different decks, but I honestly am having a lot of fun with this meta, and I hope you guys are too, making some crazy builds and having some success. So again, if you guys want any of the deck lists we talked about, or just some other ones, just kind of more I'd say standard builds from different leaders, you can check it out on the website, which is linked in the description. Make sure to check out my live streams in the next next little bit as well, and also the Whatnot live stream that I'm doing today at 2 p.m. PST. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.